All right, history. The history of Enemy Mine. This is a movie where there's not a lot of information about it, unfortunately. No oral history, no nothing. But I was able to piece together some stuff. So this all started as a novella by Barry Longyear, an American sci-fi author, published it as a novella within a magazine, Isaac Asimov's science fiction magazine, and it went on to win the Hugo and Nebula awards. So they make it a movie.
Make it a movie.
And it's an international production, co-production between Fox in the U.S. and some European studios. They hire to direct Richard Loncraine. Okay, this is a movie that replaced its director mid-production.
Oh.
It's one of those. Richard Loncraine is this British TV and movie director. He directed the 1995 Richard III movie. He directed the Paul Bettany tennis rom-com Wimbledon. And they started shooting in Iceland, and the studio immediately got concerned because the budget was immediately going over. Mm-hmm. And they said he didn't seem to know how to shoot in different kinds of weather. Nothing. We couldn't edit anything together. I have a quote from Louis Gossett. He said, quote, "He kind of directed himself into a corner because of the weather. He couldn't shoot anything that matched. We would still be there." So the studio halted production, fired Loncraine, and then wondered whether they should just cancel the movie altogether. But they had already paid these two stars, and they had pay or play contracts, which means we're paying you no matter what.
Nice.
So instead, they said, "You guys hang out for 6 months. We'll pay you while we get a new director." And they bring on Wolfgang Petersen. And we have an extensive bio of him in our Never Ending Story episode. But, you know, he made a big international blockbuster with Das Boot in 1981. And then from a 1985 interview of Wolfgang Petersen in the Boston Globe, he said, when they presented the script to him, he said, quote, I'm not a fan of Star Wars science fiction. I thought I'd hate Enemy Mine. But after reading the script, I realized that there was more going on than just to shoot 'em up in outer space. I really was very much impressed with the script, but I had too much to do. That's when they offered to stop production until I was done with the Never-Ending Story. On the footage that was already shot, he said all the magic was gone. Lou Gossett Jr. looked like a man in a rubber lizard suit, and Iceland looked like Iceland. He always had a feeling of a human inside something, and the feeling of the foreign planet was missing. So, end quote. So they, sorry.
I just want to point out that you do have a screenshot of Neverending Story on the screen, and I want to defend myself from earlier. Does that not look like a bunch of stuff to look like inside of a big thing of vastness?
I don't even know what you mean when you say that.
It just looks full and empty at the same time.
I thought I was having a stroke there for a second. I was hang on, repeat that.
No, it looks.
I knew it.
Empty.
A thing in a thing of a vastness.
He has this ability to make sets that feel like, yeah, there's a lot that you built here. There's a lot of stuff to look at, but I feel alone, and like there's so much empty space. Like the world will render if I keep walking in it. So fuck yourself, both of you. Enjoy.
I can't tell if it's a compliment or not.
It's not, but it's a style.
I know what you're saying. So it's like just looking out into space. There's so much out there, but at the same time, it's so empty.
Empty, right? Exactly. So it's like full of pasta. It just seems like he knows how to spend money and cluster it, but then doesn't exactly know what to do with the idea of what the place is literally supposed to be in the story. It's a large place, but how do you fill all that space? And maybe it's because these movies were done in the 80s as well. You know, it feels like set pieces.
The thing about both, so you always say set pieces. You just mean set.
I just mean set.
Well, I mean, that's why I like them. That's why I'm charming. I know I'm looking at a real thing. And I'd say the best thing about both of those movies is the production design and the sets. And I feel the emptiness, which I feel is intentional.
Yes, because in both of these movies, these characters are alone. They can only rely on each other, and then eventually only on themselves, and you're supposed to feel lonely. And I feel like these movies would be great as like a double feature because together they make each other more interesting, and just kind of it makes me more interested in him, these kind of stories he likes to tell.
Am I the only one though? Okay, I don't know if this is just me. I'm a texture person, and some things, even if I'm not touching it, just look weird.
I'm with you.
So, Never-Ending Story and Enemy Mine, the scales and like the slime and on like the dragon or on the drac always just didn't sit right with me.
No.
It always grosses me out.
Well, because look at the bumps on the dragon, right? Like it's mixed in with the fur, fucking gross. And then the teeth, horn things that are coming out of the face of the co-lead take me a long time to get over. You have tryptophobia, my friend. Look, Google that, and you will exactly see what grosses you out. Then you'll know you have it. Tryptophobia.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Oh, man.
So it's actually trypophobia.
That's what I said.
It's just the fear of small dots.
It's the fear the fear of organic small dots, not just dots.
Okay, but if they made this in CGI today, I don't know. These two movies are going to look better in 100 years than anything that comes out today.
I think they look great. Matt, what are you hearing?
That you don't like them because they're gross looking.
You're a fucking moron. I can't help that I have this thing in my mind that makes me. I'm saying that these puppets are so effective, these costume choices are so effective that I can get over it.
Okay.
We watched Spice World the other week, and you couldn't get past Baby Sucker,
no.
And that's just because it wasn't as strong, man.
Yeah.
This has strong design.
You did tell me that after you watched
Spice
the movie.
alone.
Yeah, I do, but you like to hear my negativeness, and you decide I can say something negative but end in a positive, fucker.
I gotcha.
Do you?
So while they took the big hiatus, the big thing, they did a couple of big changes. One, totally changed the Drac makeup and costume for Gossett, and they built new sets. They moved the production to Munich, although they did some location filming in the Canary Islands, but then they filmed it on sound stages in Munich. All right, but let's briefly talk about the actors. We got Dennis Quaid, who was aged 30 years old. Lacey, he is 6 feet tall.
Thank you.
His breakthrough performance. Well, just what do we all think of Dennis Quaid in general? If we're thinking about Dennis Quaid at all, what do we think of him?
My opinion went up of him for this movie. I feel neither here nor there about him, honestly. And now I'm like, what a sweetie. What a good acting chopped sweetie. And those pecs.
You can't go wrong with Dennis Quaid. I mean,
He's
Dennis
solid.
Quaid is he's the top of the food chain when it comes to actors. Like, he's just such a great fucking actor.
The top of the food chain when it comes to actors. Wow.
Yep. I said that.
He's
a snack, man. He is a snack.
He's a snack.
He's a snack pack.
I always think of him as as kind of a failed movie star.
I think of him as a B-list Harrison Ford.
Well, as somebody who they thought would be a movie star,
Yes.
but it never really worked.
Yes.
And so he just had to settle into being a character actor.
Because he has the looks and he can act.
And this movie, he carries this movie. And this is in a run in the 80s. The other big sci-fi movie is Inner Space, Joe Dante's Inner Space, that he's also super charismatic and carries.
He is captivating.
But for some reason, it just didn't work. He had substance abuse problems too.
And he came back in the Substance. As
Oh,
you say,
yeah.
substance abuse.
You are
There
so
you
right.
go. He needs to be taking some substance, though. The substance.
Okay.
Then maybe. Well,
No.
Okay, so Breaking Away in 1979, The Right Stuff in 1983, and then, of course, the star of Jaws 3D, a big movie for me.
I was going to mention it.
But Dreamscape, Enemy Mine, and Inner Space was like the test of him as a leading man. None of them really hit. Dreamscape.
We just watched
We
that
just
one too for
watched
Popcorn
it.
Club. a while
Really?
back.
Yes. I was like,
Yep.
wait, why do
Yeah,
I?
we did that for Popcorn Club.
Yes,
Wow.
yes. And he's good at that too.
Never
Yo,
seen it. I just
that was
know
a
it's
weird movie.
Isn't it supposed to be an Indiana
fucking
Jones
weird.
clone?
No, it is very weird.
No, it's like
Sci-fi.
early 80s The Cell with Jennifer Lopez
Yes.
in a sense. It's like that. It's
like
weird,
that.
but it's
But-
good. Shout out to Monique's Movie
Madness.
Well, I mean, I think he's really good in this movie. I think one of the traits a movie star needs to have is, can you carry the screen by yourself?
Yes.
And he is he's acting with other actors, with Gossett, and then with the kid in the costume later. But for a lot of it, he's by himself, and he's very compelling.
Yeah.
I think I was seeing like he's not quite a Kurt. He keeps reminding me of Kurt
Yes,
Russell, but not
yes.
getting there. I prefer Kurt Russell has just an edge that he can't have here, but maybe he makes up for it
I never
with the
thought about
warmth.
that.
The warmth is where
I never thought about that.
Kurt Russell can't have the warmth.
Oh, Kurt Russell's got warmth.
He doesn't have the warmth.
Oh.
I want
Yeah,
to.
Dennis Quaid's got the warmth. okay,
He's
with
got the
capital
one.
T.
It's the eyes. He's got intense eyes.
He's got that smolder.
He's smoldering.
He is smoldering. It's true. So Louis Gossett Jr., who just died last year,
Oh.
I think if you combine the stage, the movies, and TV, you could say he's one of like the very most important actors of the 20th century. big star on stage in the 60s and 70s, and then he won an Emmy for Roots on TV in 1977. Won Best Supporting Actor Oscar for An Officer and a Gentleman in 1982. He was the first black man to win Best Supporting Actor, and then, you know, kept being a super prolific actor up until, let's see, The Color Purple was the musical movie remake from a few years ago was his last role. And then he also got an Emmy nomination for being on Damon Lindelof's Watchmen a few years ago, but he is
was he the blind man?
Yes.
Yeah.
What a performance from him in this movie under all that makeup.
Amazing.
I didn't know he was 6'4".
Yeah, he's 6'4".
This is why I get Matt to tell me these things.
He's such a physical actor in this movie. He's constantly crouching and squatting.
And all that makeup, dude. How
are you able to give such an emotional performance
his
under
eyes,
all that bizarre makeup? Yeah.
The tear,
the burst scene. Oh my God. That brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah, I mean, every time they choose for these characters to cry, I was like, yes, let's cry. This is sad.
This is a good time right now.
Good time for this.
When the kid cries, or when he just has a little tear because he sees the other Dracs. He's like, I've always wanted to see a Drac, but no, they're enslaved.
I have a hard time with that whole part. But
so this movie got mixed to negative reviews. But the movie got a huge marketing push, even though the studio wasn't sure how to market it. Now, I think in retrospect, it's clear you market this as an E.T. sort of movie for the whole family. Instead, they have this poster that's like, these two fuckers are gonna fight. And the studio blamed the poster because
the title.
I looked at this poster and thought I knew exactly what the movie would be. But before I watched it, I was just putting my slideshow together preliminarily, and I Google image searched Enemy Mine, and I see Dennis Quaid holding an adorable alien kid, and I was like, wait a minute, what?
Right.
So yeah, it was a flop. It was a big box office flop, but remake in development, and we will all be boycotting. We will be throwing stones at the movie theater when that inevitably opens, and that's the history of Enemy Mine.
Here's the only way I would love to see the remake actually work: get Jack Quaid to play.
The natural thing to do.
We've been saying this. We're like, the only way we want Nepo babies is if they exactly replace their parents. It's the only way we'll take it.
I know. Why do we need new actors to have opportunities? No.
We can have their spawns.
Yeah. And Louis Gossett Jr., is there a junior that we can get?
Yes, I want a third.
Yeah. I was thinking, though, there is a lot of good mythology in this movie that's underexplored, and so I could see maybe turn it into a 6-episode miniseries. There's the stuff with his alien race. I thought, like, this is pretty meaty stuff for this is kind of heady sci-fi right here. All the questions it's asking about gender and sort of individualism versus living as a community. Mm-hmm. I don't know. There's stuff there.
There's stuff.
I think if they were to do it as a TV series or a mini series, I think it would work really well, because I feel like they could, like you said, there's a lot of lore and myth into this film that they can explore a lot more, you know. And I think a TV series, if they were to do it, would probably work the best than a remake movie.
Obviously, there's a ton of Star Trek vibes here because the Dracs feel like Klingons. In a way, I mean, they're less militaristic, but they have this whole like honor code. And maybe I'm just saying that because it's literally a black man in makeup, and that's what the Klingons were. But I could see it like that. I could see it being a sort of ongoing Star Trek Federation and Klingon thing. I don't know.
Side story.
I like this idea, though, of like them looking into why were we taught, who did it benefit for us to be taught that we are enemies? And then, it only took us interacting for a little while to realize we were both fed lies. So, I just think it's an interesting place to pick up from is where we leave off in the first movie. I'd take that.
Yeah.
I want to see, it's very white savior if you do it that way.
So are you saying like a prequel?
No, just to pick a direct sequel. Is that what they call it? Yeah. When it picks up where it leaves off,
sequel or something like
or just something about the son and uncle trying to change things politically amongst their
races.
Well, I think so. Lacey said white savior, and I think there is a little bit of that, but I was pleasantly surprised that it's not like the literary trope of somebody who
Right.
goes native. That's not what happens. He
No.
doesn't decide their society is better than mine. He just loves an individual and wants to save that individual. Like, he doesn't defect. He doesn't end the war. He has no opinions on the war, really.
Well,
It just becomes very personal for him.
and respectful. Like, he puts it on even, he never stops loving his earthlingness.
Right,
But
right.
but
No.
it develops such a respect for the differentness of the Drac people.
Yes. So the sequel would be him saying like, no, but they're good. And then the humans would be like, well, we got to fight somebody. We bought all these weapons.
We gotta fight somebody.
You know,
Might as well
one
start
nice-
a World War 17 by this point.
I mean, that's why wars happen.
This
folks.
whole ship is a gun.
Fucking
What
boredom.
are we gonna do with our ship? The ship is just one gun.
No, we got to take this out into we got to, put her out on the open road. See how
See
she
that
go.
fucking planet over there?
Let's
Fuck
just-
that planet.
let's-
Blow it
yeah.
up.
If we don't get to know that planet, what are we losing? What are we losing?
I like the scene where they talk about like they can't even agree on who started the war because they're just like, well, you started the war. No, you came to this
Yeah,
part
no,
of the
you.
galaxy. No, we've always been in this part of the galaxy. It's like they can't even agree on basic facts.
Right.
Because like ultimately it doesn't
then when he-
matter.
Well,
Yeah,
I want to
and
see
then
each of their textbooks.
Yeah, and then like when he's reading his learning his language, he's like, this is the same as the language, like the book on my planet.
Right.
So I was like,
Same moral
you guys
lessons.
have the same morals. So like French.
I love
Good
that
is
scene.
good.
That's my favorite scene in the movie. Well, I want to spotlight that when we get